When poor student Lin Xiaoyu took my mother's jade bracelet to play with, I snatched it back. She went to her childhood friend Gu Linan with red eyes to complain. In the previous life, Gu Linan came running with his family's Tibetan Mastiff, not even listening to an explanation, and then released the dog's leash. When the Tibetan Mastiff lunged at me, I instinctively protected the jade bracelet in my arms. The moment the fangs sank into my left eye, I convulsed in pain, blood covering half my face. But as I lay on the ground, the first thing I heard was Gu Linan comforting Lin Xiaoyu. "Don't be afraid, Xiaoyu, it's not your fault." It was Shi Ran who rushed over and scared Bart. She knew Bart was protective of his owner and still deliberately scared you. Serves you right. Later, my left eye was almost completely blind. The doctor said that even in the best recovery scenario, my vision would only be 0-1. I could no longer see the world clearly. The Gu family lost 500,000. Lin Xiaoyu cried, saying she didn't mean to do it. Gu Linan said I was ungrateful even after taking the money. Classmates called me aggressive, accusing me of bullying poor students just because my family was well off. My best friend Xiao Ai testified for Lin Xiaoyu, claiming that I had always been jealous of her and that I had indeed pushed her. The case ultimately turned into an accident. I returned to school to study with my half-blind eyes, only to find white chrysanthemums and insulting notes placed on my desk every day. 2 months before the college entrance exam, I discovered that Lin Xiaoyu had forged her poverty-stricken student application materials and was preparing to submit the evidence to the school. That night, as I was just walking to the back door of the teaching building, I was stopped by Gu Linan. He said, "Shi Ran, why must you destroy Xiaoyu?" Lin Xiaoyu hid behind him and cried, "I just want to read books." "What's wrong with that?" I ignored them and turned to leave. However, Gu Linan released Bart once again. As the Tibetan Mastiff lunged at me, my foot slipped, and I tumbled down the stairs. The back of my head hit the steps, and blood spilled all over the floor. The last thing I heard was Gu Linan panicking and saying, "Don't cry, Xiaoyu, she won't die, she's just pretending to be miserable." When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the moment when Lin Xiaoyu picked up my mother's jade bracelet. In this life, the bracelet hadn't broken yet. My left I can still see 0-1. What a beautiful bracelet. Lin Xiaoyu slipped the jade bracelet onto her wrist and waved it in the sunlight. "Shi Ran, are all the things your mother left behind this expensive?" She spoke with an innocent smile, but her fingers kept rubbing the surface of the jade bracelet. In my previous life, I rushed over to snatch it, giving her the chance to play the victim. This time, I didn't act immediately. I took out my phone, turned on the video recording, and spoke calmly. "Lin Xiaoyu, put the bracelet down." She paused, seemingly surprised by my reaction. "I'm just taking a look. I won't break it. This is my mother's keepsake." I stared at her. "I didn't give you permission to touch it." Several classmates nearby looked over. Lin Xiaoyu's face paled, and her eyes immediately reddened. "I didn't know it was so serious. I just thought it looked pretty." "Now I know." I reached out my hand. "Give it back to me." She bit her lip and slowly took off the jade bracelet, but as she handed it to me, her fingers loosened. In my previous life, it was this very action that caused the jade bracelet to fall to the ground, leaving a crack. This life, I was prepared. Another hand caught it steadily. The jade bracelet didn't hit the ground. Lin Xiaoyu's expression stiffened for a moment. I put the jade bracelet back into the box, my voice not loud but loud enough for everyone in the classroom to hear. Taking someone else's belongings without permission is not just simple curiosity, this is called an offense. Lin Xiaoyu's lips trembled, and tears fell with a plop. "Shi Ran, I really didn't mean to. Why are you being so harsh?" someone in the class whispered to me. "She didn't mean it either. It's just a quick look, after all." I glanced back at that person. "Can the only keepsake left by your deceased family member be shown to just anyone?" The person instantly fell silent. Lin Xiaoyu cried even harder, turned around, and ran out. I knew who she was going to find. Gu Linan. In my previous life, it was right after this that he appeared, leading Bart. I didn't wait where I was. First, I sent the video I had just taken to the class monitor, then called the homeroom teacher. "Teacher, Lin Xiaoyu took my mother's keepsake without permission, and I have already gathered evidence. She is now emotionally agitated and ran out. I'm worried a conflict might occur, so please come as soon as possible." The homeroom teacher was stunned on the other end of the phone. "Sure. Ran, don't worry, I'll be right there." After hanging up the phone, I kept the camera on my phone running, placed it in my pocket with the lens facing forward. I sent my dad the location and a message again. "Dad, if I don't reply within 10 minutes, call the police directly. Gu Linan might bring dogs to the school." After sending it, I tucked my phone securely into my school uniform pocket. In this life, I won't rely solely on words to tell the truth, I want everyone to see it with their own eyes. 02, in less than 5 minutes, Gu Linen arrived. He was holding the Tibetan Mastiff in his hand. Bart growled lowly, baring his fangs, his size almost reaching my waist. Lin Xiaoyu hid behind him, sobbing with her shoulders trembling. Gu Linen saw me, his face dark and unpleasant. Shiran, apologize. I laughed. On what grounds? You scared Xiaoyu, he said matter-of-factly. It's just a bracelet. She was only looking at it. Was that really necessary? Absolutely necessary. I stared at him. That was my mother's keepsake. Gu Linen frowned impatiently. Don't always bring your mother into this. Xiaoyu comes from a difficult background and has never seen nice things since she was young. What's wrong with being curious? Just because her family is struggling, she can take my things. Just because she's poor, she doesn't have to respect others. Gu Linen was left speechless by my retort. Lin Xiaoyu immediately tugged at his sleeve. Linen, forget it, it's my fault, I shouldn't have touched Shiran's things. The more she spoke like this, the more Gu Linen's heart ached for her. Don't speak for her. After he finished speaking, he suddenly loosened the dog leash. The students around us all stepped back, but I raised my voice. Gu Linen, think this through clearly. A Tibetan Mastiff is a large, aggressive breed of dog. You were fully aware of its potential for aggression, yet you still brought it onto school grounds. If you release the leash now and any consequences arise, you will be held legally responsible. Gu Linen sneered coldly. Don't try to scare me with the law. Bart is smart. He'll just give you a fright. Are you sure? I'm sure. As he spoke, he released his fingers. Bart lunged at me fiercely. I immediately raised my school bag to shield myself while dodging sideways backward, but it was too fast. Its fangs still grazed my left eye. An intense pain exploded. Blood instantly gushed out. I fell to the ground, my vision turning red, but I didn't panic and scream like I did in my previous life. I pressed hard on the wound, lifted my still intact right eye, and looked at Gu Linen. Class monitor, call the police. The class monitor turned pale with fear and immediately dialed 110. I turned to look at a few other classmates beside me. Don't turn off the recording. Take a picture of the dog. Take a picture of Gu Linen. Take a picture of my injury. Whoever captures the moment he lets go of the dog leash, send it directly to the homeroom teacher. Only then did Gu Linen panic. He rushed over to help me up. I stepped back, my voice hoarse. Don't touch me, Shiran. I didn't mean to. Fear finally appeared on his face. Whether you meant to or not, the police will find out. Lin Xiaoyu rushed to Gu Linen, crying, Linen, I'm so scared. In the previous life, he had immediately embraced her. This time, his outstretched hand froze mid-air. Because over a dozen phones around him were all filming him, he didn't dare to hug, dared not say again. Shiran deserved it. Before the ambulance arrived, I handed the jade bracelet box to the class monitor. Keep this for me, don't let anyone touch it. The class monitor's eyes were red with tears. Shiran, don't talk anymore, the ambulance is coming soon. I nodded, nearly passing out from the pain, yet still forcing myself to speak. Also, I already warned Gu Linen earlier that the video contains. He is not unaware, he did it on purpose. Gu Linen's face was deathly pale. 03, the ambulance and the police arrived almost simultaneously. When the homeroom teacher rushed over and saw me covered in blood, her legs went weak. Shiran, I was carried onto the stretcher, still conscious. Teacher, the video is on my phone, the class monitor also has a backup, please help me give the evidence to the police. The homeroom teacher, with red eyes, nodded. Gu Linen wanted to follow in his car, but I stopped him. I don't need the perpetrator to accompany me to the hospital. His lips trembled slightly. Shiran, please don't say that. Then what should I say? I smiled, but the movement tugged at my wound, and the pain made my vision go dark. Should I say thank you for letting the dog bite me? Lin Xiaoyu started crying again. Shiran, it's all my fault. Please don't blame Linen. I looked at the police officer. Officer, you can also note down what she just said. She knows this matter is related to Gu Linen. Lin Xiaoyu's sobbing suddenly stopped. Gu Linen turned around abruptly to look at her. A flicker of hesitation appearing in his eyes for the first time. It turns out that the words of a little white flower can also become evidence. At the hospital, I was immediately taken into the operating room. After examining me, the doctor looked grave. The eyeball is ruptured, with damage to both the cornea and sclera. We'll do our best to save the eye, but the chances of regaining vision are not optimistic. In my previous life, I nearly broke down when I heard these words. In this lifetime, I only ask, can you do an injury assessment? The doctor paused for a moment. Sure, after the surgery, we will provide the diagnostic materials, thank you. Before the anesthesia, I gripped the bedsheet tightly. The pain was real, hate was also real, but this time, I no longer placed my hope on Gu Linen having a change of heart, conscience, something he had long since lost. The surgery lasted over 4 hours. When I woke up, my left eye was wrapped in thick gauze, and my right I could barely make out. My father sitting by the bed, his eyes were frighteningly red. The new mother stood by the window making a phone call, her voice trembling with coldness. Yes, we demand that a case be filed. There is video evidence and eyewitness testimony. The dog owner knew the Tibetan Mastiff was aggressive but still deliberately released the leash. My daughter injured her eye, not just a minor scrape. Hearing her say that warmed my heart. In my previous life, I held back many words, afraid of making things difficult for my stepmother and putting my father in a tough position between two families. In this life, I will not endure any longer. My new mother hung up the phone and quickly walked to the bedside. Ran, are you awake? Does it hurt? It hurts, I said. Her tears fell instantly. I held her hand. Mom, I'm going to sue Gu Linen. She nodded firmly. We'll sue to the very end. Dad fell silent for a few seconds, then spoke up. Ran, I won't try to persuade you to settle anymore. If the Gu family thinks they can use money to bully people, let them try. My nose tingled with emotion. It turned out that as long as I didn't retreat, there were people behind me who were willing to stand firm. 04 That night, the police came to take a statement. I explained the whole matter from beginning to end. Lin Xiaoyu took the relic without permission, and I demanded its return. Gu Linen arrived with a Tibetan Mastiff, and I clearly warned him not to release the dog's leash. He still let the dog go. The police took my phone video, the monitor's video, and statements from several classmates. The Gu family quickly arrived at the hospital. As soon as Gu's mother entered, she burst into tears. Ran, Auntie is truly sorry for you. Linen was just too impulsive. He's not a bad boy. I leaned against the headboard, calmly watching her with my right eye. Auntie, he's 18 years old, not a child. Mr. Gu handed over a bank card. Here is 1 million yuan, covering medical expenses, follow-up treatment costs, and compensation for emotional distress. As long as you're willing to write a letter of understanding, we can discuss things further. In my previous life, they only took 500,000, and my father hesitated. In this life, I smiled. Uncle Gu, my eyes are not for sale. Father Gu's face stiffened. Gu Linen stood at the back and finally couldn't hold back. Sure, Ran, do you really have to make such a big deal out of this? Yes, I said, because I'm the one who was bitten and blinded. Didn't the doctor say the eyeball was saved? He said irritably. It's not like I'm completely blind. I stared at him and slowly spoke. Gu Linen, would you dare to let Bart bite your left eye, and then say that to me again? The ward instantly fell silent. Gu Linen's face was grim. Lin Xiaoyu stood at the door, speaking softly. Sure, Ran, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have touched your bracelet. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Don't blame Linen. I rang the bedside bell directly. When the nurse came in, I pointed toward the door. Miss Nurse, these people are disturbing my rest. Please ask them to leave. Gu Linen couldn't believe it. Sure, Ran, get out, I said. If you don't leave, I'll have my lawyer come over. This was the first time I had ever treated him so harshly. Without giving him any face, anger flashed in his eyes, along with bewilderment. Perhaps in his memory, Sure Ran would always give in to him, but that Sure Ran had long since died on the staircase in the previous life. After they left, the ward fell silent. Dad sat by the bed and asked softly, Ran, if the Gu family continues to offer more money. I looked at him. Dad immediately changed his tone. I'm not trying to persuade you to settle, I just want to hear what you think. No settlement, I said. Compensation will be paid as required, and accountability will be pursued as necessary. He hurt me, so he should bear the consequences. The new mother nodded. Yes, compensation is compensation, and violation of the law is violation of the law. Responsibility cannot be bought with money. 05 The Gu family began to seek connections. People from the school also came to persuade. The principal said, Student Sure Ran, you've known Gu Linen since childhood. Young people can be impulsive. Can this be resolved internally? I immediately brought the lawyer into the hospital room. The lawyer said in front of the principal, Tibetan Mastiff attack causes severe eye injury. Current evidence shows Gu Linen actively released the leash. If the school attempts to cover up this matter, we will simultaneously pursue accountability for management responsibilities. The principal immediately fell silent. The homeroom teacher later came to see me secretly and brought me a photocopy of the testimony. Most of the students in the class are willing to testify. I asked, What about Xiao AI? The homeroom teacher remained silent. I understand, in the previous life. Xiao AI was the most crucial betrayer. This time, she still sided with Lin Xiaoyu. Not long after, Xiao AI sent a message, Ran, Xiaoyu is also pitiful, she really didn't mean it, you're already hurt, can't you stop ruining other people's lives? I looked at it for 3 seconds and replied directly, first, the person who ruined my eyes wasn't me, second, giving false testimony is illegal, third, starting today, we are no longer friends. After sending it, I blocked her, no explanation, no argument. Someone who would speak for the murderer when I was bleeding profusely does not deserve to hear another word from me. A few days later, the preliminary results of the injury assessment came out. The chances of recovery for my left eye's vision are extremely low, constituting a severe injury. Gu Linan was taken away by the police for investigation. The Gu family panicked. Gu's mother tearfully called my dad, saying that Gu Linan still has to take the college entrance exam in the future and cannot have a criminal record. The new mother snatched the phone directly. Did he ever think about my daughter's future college entrance exams when he set his dog on people? Is your son's future a future? But my daughter's eyes aren't eyes. There was silence on the other end of the phone. At that moment, I suddenly felt a sense of relief, not because they were crying, but because, in this life, I finally no longer had to swallow my grievances alone. 06 After being released on bail, Gu Linan returned to school for classes. He became much more silent overall. Lin Xiaoyu, on the other hand, was even better at acting. Every time she saw me, she would turn red-eyed and take a detour, as if I were a demon who devoured people. My left eye was still wrapped in gauze, and on the first day back at school, a bouquet of white chrysanthemums appeared on my desk. In my previous life, I threw the flowers away and held back my words. This time, I directly placed the white chrysanthemums along with the note on the desk into an evidence bag, took a photo, and sent it to the class group. Whoever did it, admit it within 10 minutes. It's fine if you don't admit it. I've already requested to review the surveillance footage and will report this as school bullying to the police. The group chat fell silent for less than a minute before someone privately messaged me to apologize. It was one of Gu Linan's followers. He said it was just a joke. I sent a screenshot of his apology to the group, joking, placing white chrysanthemums for the injured and writing, "One-eyed dragon," is an insult, not a joke. I accept a public apology, not a private plea. During the lunch break that day, the boy stood on the podium and apologized to me. His face flushed bright red. I sat in my seat, watching coldly. Some people think I'm too serious. I heard it and turned to look over. Would you like to try next? That person immediately shut up. Since then, white chrysanthemums have never appeared on my desk again. Rumors have also decreased significantly. That's how people are. They bully you not because they are brave, but because they thought you wouldn't fight back. Gu Linan would occasionally stand at the classroom door and watch me. Once, he stopped me, his voice low and hoarse. "Sharan, does it hurt?" I looked up at him. "Are you asking about the eyes, or the heart?" His face turned pale. "That day, I didn't want Bart to actually hurt you, but you let go of the leash," I said. "Gu Linan, the outcome has already occurred. No amount of beautifying the motives will change that. You're not a child, you should pay for your choices." He was silent for a long time, then asked in a low voice, "Can we really not go back?" I smiled. "Can my left eye go back to before it was bitten?" He couldn't utter a single word. 07 Lin Xiaoyu still tried to play the victim. She walked up to me during a class break, her eyes brimming with tears, and said, "Sharan, I know you hate me, but I really didn't mean to." I raised my head. "Then why did you take my jade bracelet without permission?" I've never seen something so beautiful. "Aren't you a student from a poor family?" I suddenly asked. "Where did you get that latest model phone?" Her face turned pale. "It was given to me by a relative." "And those limited edition sneakers you wear every day, were they also given by a relative?" "It says in your application that your mother works in an electronics factory in Shenzhen, earning less than 3,000 yuan per month." I look at her, but I found out she's a beauty salon manager with a monthly income over 10,000. Lin Xiaoyu's lips trembled. "You investigated me?" "Yes," I said. "I'm also planning to hand the evidence over to the school's financial aid office." Tears instantly streamed down her face. "Sharan, why are you pushing me so hard? I just want to study. Those who truly struggle also want to study." My voice was cold. "You're taking away their spot." Lin Xiaoyu ran away crying. Gu Linan came to find me very soon. He blocked the stairway, his eyes filled with anger. "Sharan, what exactly do you want to do?" I took out my phone and aimed it at him. "Go on, his face stiffened. In my previous life, he cornered me here, and I ended up falling down the stairs. In this life, I won't give him a second chance. Gu Linen, there are surveillance cameras at the stairwell, and my phone is recording. You touch me, and you won't even be able to keep your bail. His outstretched hands slowly withdrew. How did you become so terrifying? I smiled. Didn't you feel terrifying when you let your dog bite me? He fell silent. Lin Xiaoyu just wants to keep studying, he said with difficulty. Her family isn't well off. Fake, I interrupted. Her poor student documents are fake. Impossible. Go look it up yourself. I walked past him and went straight to the financial aid office. The report materials, screenshots, transaction records, and WeChat Moments records were all submitted. I didn't expose anything on the forum, nor did I make a scene in class. What I want is an official investigation by the school. I want to leave her no room for excuses. 3 days later, the school issued a notice. Lin Xiaoyu forged poverty-stricken student documents, had her financial aid eligibility revoked, all subsidies recovered, and was given a disciplinary record. The entire school was in an uproar. Those who had once sympathized with her began calling her a fraud. So her family isn't actually poor at all. I can't believe I actually donated money to her before. Her mother earns over 10,000 a month and still receives poverty subsidies. Then is her constant complaining about being poor just an act? Lin Xiaoyu cried while looking for Gu Linen. Gu Linen repaid the subsidy for her, but for the first time, he did not immediately speak up for her, because the evidence was too clear. She had deceived everyone, and she had deceived him too. 08. Lin Xiaoyu couldn't bear the rumors and voluntarily applied to drop out of school. Before leaving, she came to see me. Shiran, it was you who made me drop out. I was organizing my mistakes when I heard the words and looked up. You lied and caused your own expulsion. Her eyes were red. You've already ruined my reputation, so why won't you let me go? Lin Xiaoyu, when you took my mother's keepsake, did you ever think of letting me go? When Gu Linen set the dogs on me, did you ever try to stop him? As I lay in a pool of blood, you were still crying about how scared you were. Her face turned deathly pale. I put down my pen. I'm reporting you, not out of personal vendetta, but because you don't deserve the financial aid. As for you dropping out, that's your own choice. She suddenly spoke in a low voice. Aren't you just relying on your family's wealth? I looked at her. My mother's life can't be exchanged for money, nor can my eyes. Don't use poverty as an excuse for your own disgusting behavior. Lin Xiaoyu could no longer speak. After she left, Gu Linen came to confront me again. Are you satisfied now? Xiaoyu has dropped out of school, I asked calmly in return. She dropped out of school, and you're so heartbroken. My eyes are ruined. Have you ever felt sorry for me? His Adam's apple moved. Shiran, back then don't explain. I cut him off. Explanations only make me feel more disgusted. Gu Linen's eyes slowly reddened. Can we really never go back? From the moment you let go of the dog's leash, there's no going back. After saying those words, the last bit of old affection in my heart completely vanished. 09. The case finally came to a conclusion. Gu Linen was held accountable for deliberately allowing a large dog to attack others, because the Gu family actively compensated and he did not directly command the dog to attack any specific part of my body. He was ultimately given a suspended sentence, but that was enough. A blemish was left on his record. He lost his original competition recommendation qualification and also received a disciplinary record from the school. The Tibetan Mastiff, Bart, was taken into custody and handled according to the law. When Gu Linen heard the news, he almost broke down. He came to the hospital to find me, his eyes bloodshot. Shiran, Bart is gone. I was just removing the bandages. The moment my left eye opened, the world was reduced to blurred light and shadow. The doctor said this was the best outcome possible. I turned to look at Gu Linen. The right eye was clear and distinct, but the left eye seemed as if it were veiled by a fog that could never be wiped clean. My eye is gone too. Gu Linen's lips trembled, and he could no longer speak. In the second semester of senior year, I devoted all my time to studying and recovery. When my eyes hurt, I used eye drops. When I felt dizzy, I rested for 10 minutes before continuing. While others complete one set of papers, I complete two. I'm not doing this to prove anything to Gu Linen. I'm doing it to pull myself out of this mess. 1 week before the college entrance exam, Xiao Ai came to apologize to me. Sure. Ran, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have spoken up for Lin Xiaoyu back then. I didn't look up. You weren't speaking for her. You were preparing to give false testimony for her when I needed evidence the most. She started crying. We've been friends for so many years. That's exactly why I can't forgive you. She stood there for a long time, and finally left in tears. I didn't soften my heart. Some people are not worth a second chance. 10. After Gu Linan was sentenced to probation, the Gu family did not immediately quiet down. Gu's mother came to my doorstep several times with gifts, trying to intercept me. She cried and said, Ran, Auntie isn't indifferent to you, but Linan already knows he was wrong. He's locking himself in his room every day now, not eating, not sleeping. You've grown up together since childhood. Can you really bear to see him like this? I stood inside the door, not opening it, through the security door. I only replied with one sentence, Auntie, when I was bitten and hospitalized, I couldn't eat or sleep either. What was Gu Linan doing back then? It was quiet outside the door. Mother Gu still wanted to cry. The new mother directly called the property management up. From then on, the Gu family never dared to cause trouble at home again. The school finally posted the handling results. Gu Linan received a reprimand and was disqualified from being considered for the Outstanding Graduate Award. Lin Xiaoyu was found guilty of forging materials for poor students and was required to return the subsidy and voluntarily withdraw from school. Xiao Ai was publicly criticized by the grade for giving false testimony. A few boys who once placed white chrysanthemums on my desk were required to write self-criticisms and publicly apologize during a class meeting. I did not go to listen to their apologies while they were reading their self-criticisms on the podium. I was in the office organizing my incorrect answers. The homeroom teacher asked me, really not going to take a look? I shook my head. Their apology is what they should do, not something I must accept. The homeroom teacher looked at me for a long time and sighed. Sure Ran, you've really changed. I lowered my head to write the problem. Once bitten, twice shy. That night, Gu Linan sent me a long message. Ran, I only now realize how hard your past year has been. I saw those people who placed white chrysanthemums, and I heard them call you one-eyed dragon. I used to think you were always strong, always refusing to bow your head, so you wouldn't feel pain. But I forgot, you do feel pain too. I read it and immediately blocked him. He didn't forget, he just never truly cared about my pain. Late sympathy is like expired medicine, useless and disgusting. 11. 1 month before the college entrance exam, my left eye had an infection. Those days, my eye socket swelled badly, and it hurt whenever I read. The doctor advised me to reduce eye strain. The new mother was so anxious she started to cry. Ran, do you want to take 2 days off? Your health is most important. I shook my head. I'll adjust. I won't just push through. I break my daily study plan into 1-hour segments. I read for 40 minutes, close my eyes for 10 minutes, then use voice software to listen to explanations of wrong answers. I used to think this method was too slow. Now I realize that a person cannot survive on just one ability. When my eyes were injured, I trained my hearing. Reading questions would tire me out, so I recorded formulas and key knowledge points, listening to them repeatedly before bed. Gu Linan somehow heard about my infection and sent me a bag of imported eye drops through someone. I hadn't even opened the bag, and handed it straight back to the homeroom teacher. Teacher, please return it. The homeroom teacher looked somewhat hesitant. He said he just wanted to help you. I don't need it. Before he sends the medicine, he should think about who made me need it in the first place. The homeroom teacher didn't try to persuade me any further. Later, I heard that Gu Linan stood outside the office for a long time. He probably wanted to wait for me to come out, but I took a different path. I no longer want to see him, not even for a single glance would I waste my time. 12. After dropping out, Lin Xiaoyu still wasn't willing to give up. She posted on the school forum using a pseudonym, accusing me of bullying and saying I had used my family's lawyer to force a poor student to leave. The post also included a side profile photo of me wearing an eye patch. The title is written with malicious intent. Is she truly pitiable, or is she using her wounds to hold the entire school hostage? In my previous life, such posts pushed me to the brink of collapse. In this life, I simply took a screenshot and handed it over to my lawyer, along with the IP clues. That evening, the lawyer's letter was directly sent to Lin Xiaoyu's home. At the same time, I posted the full clarification on the forum. I did not play the victim, I only presented the evidence. First, the video of Lin Xiaoyu taking my mother's belongings without permission. Second, the video of me clearly warning Gu Linan before he released the dog leash. Third, the hospital diagnosis report and injury assessment materials. Fourth, the school financial aid office's notice regarding Lin Xiaoyu's falsification of poverty-stricken student documents. Fifth, a screenshot of Lin Xiaoyu's alt account spreading rumors. Finally, I only wrote one sentence: compassion for the weak is kindness, but treating a scammer as a victim is foolish. Less than half an hour after the post was made, the forum completely reversed. Damn, I've never seen a clarification post be more aggressive than a rumor post. How is this bullying? This is called defending rights according to law. Whoever says Ran is ruthless, I suggest they lend their eyes to Bart to bite. Lin Xiaoyu is truly toxic, pretending to be poor, using relics, causing harm to others, and then turning the tables. Lin Xiaoyu's alternate account was quickly deleted, but the screenshots had already spread throughout the school. From that day on, no one dared to say to my face that I was using my wounds to gain sympathy. The way they looked at me held both fear and respect. I don't need them to like me, I just need them to leave me alone. 13. Gu Linen's college entrance exam was also affected. He had originally performed well, consistently scoring above the first-tier university admission line, but with the case, disciplinary actions, Lin Xiaoyu's withdrawal from school, and Bat being dealt with, each incident following the other, his mindset was completely thrown off. In the final mock exam before the college entrance exam, his rank dropped from the top 20 in the grade to over 100. The teacher called him for a talk. He asked in the office, "How has Ran been lately?" When the homeroom teacher later told me about it, he looked utterly helpless. I said you were seriously preparing for the exam, so he stopped asking. I was writing the test paper, and didn't even stop writing when I heard that. "Don't ever talk to me about him again." The homeroom teacher nodded. "All right." The day before the college entrance exam, Gu Linen stopped me at the school gate. He was holding a small box in his hand. Ran, I had this jade bracelet repaired." I paused for a moment. He hurriedly said, "In the previous life, no, the bracelet from before was cracked, wasn't it? I found the best craftsman, although it couldn't be completely restored. It looks much less noticeable now." I looked at the box in his hand and suddenly felt it was absurd. In this life, the jade bracelet had never been cracked. Only I knew about that crack from the previous life. Gu Linen didn't know, but now he says, it cracked from a fall earlier. He realized he had spoken wrongly, his face turning deathly pale. I mean, I didn't press further, or did I take his box? Gu Linen, no matter what you want to make up for, it's already too late. I will keep the jade bracelet myself. My life doesn't need you to fix it either. I walked past him and entered the examination hall. At that moment, I felt as if the version of myself from my previous life, who died at the stairwell, had finally closed its eyes for good. She doesn't have to hurt anymore. I'll walk the rest of the way for her. 14. On the day the college entrance exam ended, I walked out of the examination hall. The sunlight was blinding, and I shielded my left eye with my hand. Dad and my new mom were waiting at the school gate. My new mom rushed over and hugged me. Ran, you've worked hard." I leaned on her shoulder, truly letting out a sigh of relief for the first time. On the day the scores were released, I ranked in the top 50 in the province. Although I had solved fewer problems than at my peak due to my eye issues, the result was still good enough. I applied to the best medical university in Beijing, ophthalmology specialty. Dad asked me, Ran, are you sure? I nodded, confirmed. I want to become an ophthalmologist. Not to compete with anyone, but because I know how painful the unseen fear can be. I also knew that if there was still a glimmer of hope in the future, I wanted to seize it with my own hands. The day the admission notice arrived at my home, Gu Linen stood downstairs in front of my house. He had lost a lot of weight, and the pride he once had was completely gone. Seeing me, he took a step forward. Ran, I want to apologize to you." I held the notice in my hand, saying nothing. His eyes were red with tears. "I was wrong. I shouldn't have let go of Bart, shouldn't have trusted Lin Xiaoyu, shouldn't have said you deserved it. I only found out later that she had been lying to me all along, but it was too late." I looked at him calmly. "Just know it, then can you?" His voice trembled. "Can you give me another chance?" I asked him, "What opportunity are you giving you? Let you choose someone else over me again?" His face turned pale. "No, I won't do it again." Gu Linen, I interrupted him. "I don't need you to promise that. I don't need you anymore." He stood frozen, as if struck by those words. I walked past him and got into the car. In the rearview mirror, he remained standing in place, head down, not moving for a long time, but I did not look back. In this life, my path will no longer stop for him. 11. College life is better than I imagined. No one calls me one-eyed dragon. The first time my roommate saw me wearing a black eye patch, she just exclaimed, "So cool." Like a movie heroine, I smiled. Then I'll strive to be the most exam-savvy film heroine. I continue to work hard. Between classes, the lab, the library, and hospital internships, my days are so busy that I hardly have time to dwell on the past. It's not that I don't have pain. My left eye still aches on rainy days. After reading for a long time, my right eye becomes sore to the point of tears. But these pains have become my reason to keep moving forward. In my sophomore year, I met Lu Jingchuan. He is a senior in the ophthalmology field. At our first meeting, he didn't ask what was wrong with my eyes, but just looked at my medical record and said, "If your corneal condition allows in the future, you could try new technologies to improve your visual function." I was stunned. "Can it still be improved?" "There's no guarantee of a full recovery," he said, "but medicine is always advancing." At that moment, my eyes welled up with tears. Later, we worked on projects together, spent time in the lab together, and went to the hospital for internships together. He never said he would protect me. He said, "Sure, Ran, you are strong. I want to stand by your side." Those words were more moving than any promise. In my junior year of college, he confessed his feelings to me. I said yes. It wasn't because I was lacking love that I accepted him. Rather, it was because I could finally calmly choose someone who respects me, understands me, and is willing to stand by my side. In my senior year, I received a letter from Gu Linan. The letter said that Lin Xiaoyu had dropped out of school and started dating a wealthy man, and had also swindled him out of a lot of money. He said he finally understood what it felt like to be betrayed by someone you trusted. He said that every time he thought of me with blood streaming from my face, he couldn't sleep from regret. He said he had been following new developments in ophthalmology over the years, and if I was willing, he could pay for my surgery. Finally, he said, Ran, I'm still waiting for you to forgive me." After reading it, I tore the letter into pieces, not because of hatred, but because it's no longer necessary. I don't hate him, nor will I forgive him. Some wounds cannot be erased just because time passes. Like my left eye, even if surgery can improve it in the future, it will never return to how it was originally, but that's okay. My life has already moved forward a great distance. Gu Linan, Lin Xiaoyu, Xiao Ai, everyone who hurt me has been left behind in the past, and I, with my left eye that can no longer see clearly, will continue moving forward into even greater distances. Scars will never disappear, but I can live better than all of them. Later, I actually underwent an enhancement surgery. It wasn't funded by Gu Linan. I saved up the money myself through scholarships, project bonuses, and internship stipends. On the day of the surgery, Lu Jingchuan accompanied me into the hospital. He didn't say, "Don't be afraid," he said, "You've already done all the preparation, leave the rest to the doctors." I laughed. "That's a very medical student way of comforting someone." He nodded seriously, "Because you're not a child who needs to be coaxed either." The surgical outcome was slightly better than expected. The left eye still cannot see distant details clearly, but it can distinguish clearer outlines and light and shadow. The doctor said this is a stage of success. Standing in the hospital corridor, I looked at the blurry yet bright tree shadows outside the window and suddenly remembered the dim staircase from my previous life just before death. At that time, I thought my life had been completely ruined by them, but now, I know that's not true. They could destroy one of my eyes, but they couldn't destroy my ability to move forward. In my graduation year, I published a paper on ocular trauma repair as the first author. My supervisor asked me why I chose this direction. I said, "Because I know that what the injured need most is not just treatment, but also to be believed." My supervisor fell silent for a long time, then patted me on the shoulder. "Then you'll be a good doctor in the future." Later, Gu Linan had someone deliver messages to me a few more times. Sometimes he said he was still waiting for me, sometimes he said he regretted it. Sometimes people say that without Lin Xiaoyu, we could have had a good life. I never replied, because I know very well that even without Lin Xiaoyu, there would have been someone else. The problem never lies in who appears, but with someone like Gu Linan, they will always prioritize others' pain over their own emotions at critical moments. I don't need to review things with him, nor do I need to help him grow. As for Lin Xiaoyu, I heard she later left the area. She is no longer labeled as the poor yet resilient transfer student, but rather as the fraudster who forged documents, caused harm to others, and then shifted the blame. This is the path she chose for herself. Xiao Ai later faced another setback during her time at university. She trusted a classmate who played the victim, co-signed a loan for them, and was ultimately driven to the brink of collapse by debt collectors. She once sent me a text message, Ran, I finally understand now how much you were hurting back then." I didn't reply. Not all understanding deserves a response. I turned off my phone and continued reading the medical records in my hand. In the ward, a little girl with an eye injury timidly asked me, "Sister, will I be very ugly in the future?" I crouched down, looked at her eye wrapped in gauze, and said softly, "No, wounds leave marks, but that is not ugliness, that is proof that you survived." She paused, then slowly smiled. At that moment, I suddenly realized that the true meaning of rebirth was not to let me watch my enemies regret, it was to finally give me the chance to save myself from that pool of blood. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After I died, my mother bound herself to a system. The system promised her that as long as she could live according to the trajectory of my life for 1 month, can bring me back to life. It can also make me obedient, well-behaved, and studious, and reward her with $1 billion in cash. My mother agreed without hesitation. Until the 29th day, my mother also stumbled onto the rooftop I used to frequent, for in the morning, holding a large stack of exam papers and practice problems, I leaped from the 19th floor rooftop. By the time I was brought to the hospital, my mother was frantic, her eyes red, as she kept emphasizing to the doctors, "You must hurry and save her." I only got her excused from morning self-study. "Just start the 4 right away. She can sit in class and get it done. She's about to take the college entrance exam. Not a single moment can be wasted." Later, the doctor pronounced me dead. My mother immediately started making a huge scene in the emergency room. She threatened with her life, demanding the hospital refund the ambulance fee. After getting the refund, my mother rejected the hospital's offer to contact a funeral home. She dragged my corpse alone to the school and hung a banner at the entrance, a heart-wrenching accusation that the school failed to educate me properly, leaving me without even the most basic ability to handle stress, just sitting there studying for 21 hours a day, so relaxed. And then I died, so she demanded that the school first pay her $50 million in a lump sum as compensation. Additionally, she requested a monthly pension of $200,000 to compensate for the pain of losing her only daughter. Just at that moment, the system appeared. The system said, "Pity her for being a single mother, so it could give her one chance to bring me back to life. As long as my mom could live according to my life trajectory for 1 month, I could be revived, and after being resurrected, I would become exceptionally obedient, never talking back to her again." At the same time, she would also receive a cash reward of $1 billion. Upon hearing this, my mother immediately agreed with great joy. She didn't even care about my lifeless body still lying on the ground, completely unaware of the suppressed laughter of the system in her mind. I was just about to remind my mom. Suddenly, a flash of white light swept before my eyes. Time rewound to 1 month ago. My mother became me, and the system became my mother. My mother stood excitedly in front of the mirror, admiring her youthful self once more, but soon began to find fault. "This wretched girl is truly inferior to me in every way. Her eyes aren't big enough, her nose isn't high enough, and her skin is so rough, and to think she's so dim-witted. All she has to do is study, yet she dares complain about being tired. How is she supposed to earn money for me when she grows up? How will I live like a queen then, once I breeze through this month? If she dares complain again after she revives, I'll cut another hour from her sleep time." Hearing my mother's familiar harshness, my soul couldn't help but tremble. I can't even imagine what I'll actually have to face if I really come back to life a month from now. Before I could even recover from my worries, my mother had already been slapped to the ground by the system. Not yet fully adjusted, she immediately jumped up in a rage to argue back. "Are you out of your mind? Why did you hit me? How many times have I told you, your only task right now is studying? Who allowed you to look in the mirror? No, I'm not that little bitch Li Nian. Why can't I look in the mirror?" Mother got up from the ground and continued to retort angrily. The system did not indulge her, slapping her several times in succession before dragging her to the study desk piled high with test papers. "These are all your tasks for tonight. You're not allowed to sleep until you finish them." The mother wanted to continue arguing, but she was afraid of the system's slaps, so she could only cautiously ask the system, "I haven't studied for many years. Can you let me catch my breath first? Let me solidify what I've learned before doing the exercises." Upon hearing this, the system immediately went berserk, pushing the mother off her chair. It hurled everything within sight at the mother. "Ungrateful wretch. I worked so hard to raise you, all in the hopes that you'd amount to something. Do you know how expensive the school district apartment you're living in is now? I get up early and work late every day just to support your studies. How dare you try to bargain with me? I deserve to die. I deserve to die. I deserve to die. Raising an ungrateful wretch like you, I really deserve to die." The system was growing more and more frantic. It even started slapping its own face wildly right in front of the mother. The scene unfolding before me suddenly feels very familiar. Back in my childhood, I was originally conceived as a bargaining chip by my mother, who wanted to marry into a wealthy family, but because I turned out to be a girl, the other party didn't want me anymore. My mother extorted a large sum of money from him, vowing to raise me to be a successful person. This was her way of realizing her dream of crossing social classes and marrying into a wealthy family. From as far back as I can remember, if I showed even the slightest hint of displeasing her, she would fly into a rage at any moment. Several times, he even threatened to jump off the building with me in his arms. Clearly, even my mother couldn't handle such tactics. She could only get up dejectedly. Sitting upright at the desk, she frowned and painstakingly worked through the unfamiliar problems on the test paper. After a whole night of tossing and turning, Mother was utterly exhausted, her breathing even in sleep betraying a deep weariness. Yet, at 6 o'clock the next morning, the system still brought a massive copper gong and struck it right by her ear. Mother was so startled that she instantly sprang up from the bed. Before she could even open her eyes, the system shoved a vocabulary booklet into her hands. Memorize 10 words before you leave the house, otherwise, don't even think about getting your meal money today. Mother was so sleepy she couldn't even open her eyes, let alone muster the energy to memorize vocabulary. She could barely manage to wash up and change into her school uniform. Just as she was about to leave, the system conducted a surprise vocabulary quiz. As expected, she couldn't recall a single word. With a cold expression, the system picked up a ruler and struck her palm 10 times with force. Not only was her meal money for the day confiscated, but her bus card was taken as well. To avoid being late, she had to cover the entire 6-kilometer journey from home to school, with an empty stomach. Her mother had no choice but to run the whole way. Finally arriving at school, her mother, overwhelmed by hunger, couldn't help but reach out to her desk mate. "Hey, I got up early and haven't eaten, let me have a bite of your bread." Her desk mate gave her a strange look. She hurriedly tucked away the bread in her hand, as if afraid her mother would say another word to her. "I think my mother must have forgotten. During my freshman year of college, I once fainted in class due to severe hypoglycemia. The boy sitting next to me immediately gave me a milk candy and carried me to the infirmary. Afterward, my mother not only failed to express gratitude to him, he even cursed him as a rapist, accusing him of having an illicit relationship with me. He demanded an exorbitant compensation of 500,000 yuan. He even hung a sign around my neck that read, 'Slut,' tied a pair of worn-out shoes to me, and paraded me back and forth across the school playground. Later, that boy who sat next to me couldn't bear the pressure any longer and had no choice but to drop out of school. From then on, everyone in the entire class stopped paying any attention to me. Throughout all 3 years of high school, almost no classmate ever spoke a single word to me. My mother is now living under my identity. How could there possibly be anyone willing to help her?" 10 p.m. The mother, tormented by hunger and exhaustion all day, returned home. Seeing the cold rice on the table, she immediately lunged at it like a madwoman, grabbing it and trying to shove it into her mouth. The system didn't hold back, directly pulling the mother aside. "Eating as soon as you walk in, do you even know the rules? Are there any perfect score test papers today? If not, you can't eat." Hearing this, the mother completely broke down. She slammed her backpack to the ground and pointed at the system, cursing it furiously. "Are you insane? Are you trying to drive me to my death now? Fine, then I'll die right now. You'll be satisfied once I'm dead, won't you?" The system remained completely calm, took out its phone, and recorded the mother's frenzied state. It sent the video to her family group chat, her close friends group chat, and even my class group chat and the school-wide group chat. With each post, it murmured softly, "Kids these days are so hard to manage. As a mother, I will never give up on my child." The mother, who had just been in the midst of a breakdown and a fit of rage, froze, because the worn-out phone in her pocket began to vibrate incessantly. Countless messages flooded in toward her. Everyone in the family was earnestly trying to persuade her. "Your mother raised you all by herself. It wasn't easy. How can you just lose your temper with her like that? Hurry up and apologize to your mom." Everyone in the class group chat was laughing at her. "Oh dear, this drama queen is starting to fight with her mom again, making a scene every single day. Why hasn't her mother beaten her to death yet? I'd love to see that troublemaker get what she deserves. I heard her mother is a shameless homewrecker. No wonder she started seducing others as soon as school began." Even in the school's massive group chat with thousands of members, people were pointing fingers at her. They accused her of being willful, ungrateful, and lacking even the most basic manners. She wanted to speak up and explain herself, only to find she had been muted in all the group chats. At that moment, her mother had reached the peak of her grievances. She ran back to her room in a huff, wanting to shut the door and have a good cry. But the very next second, The system barged in and dragged her out from under the covers, make her kneel on the shattered dishes she just broke in the living room and reflect. Only then did my mother realize that my room had never had a door lock. In this house, she didn't even have the right to cry out or scream. For some reason, as a bystander soul, seeing my mother endure everything I once experienced under my identity, I did not feel any satisfaction from seeing my mother, who had once abused me, being punished. Instead, from an outsider's perspective, I felt even more pity for my past self. My mother, forced to kneel all night, now appeared much more obedient. She eagerly picked up her books and took the initiative to work on practice problems. Every day, she studied until 3 in the morning. Whenever she could squeeze out even a little free time, she would rush over to massage the system's shoulders and legs, sharing the household chores. But I knew that my mother hadn't truly learned her lesson because of the system's reprimand, because I can hear her thoughts. Every night, she would secretly swear in her heart, "Anyway, there's only 1 month left. Once this month is over, that little bitch Li Nianen can be revived. One day, I will make her pay for every single bit of suffering I've endured. I want to watch her get into the best university, and then tear up her admission letter, so she can't go anywhere. I want her to slave away for me her whole life, to be my walking blood bag forever." Holding on to this conviction, in the days that followed, my mother played the role of a caring and diligent daughter right under the system's watchful eye. On Mother's Day, she even used the pocket money she had saved for a long time to buy the system a bouquet of bright red carnations. As soon as she entered the door, she sweetly said, "Mom, Happy Mother's Day." The system looked at the vibrant bouquet of flowers, but its expression immediately darkened. "Do you think it's easy for me to earn money? Why would you buy something like this for no reason?" The mother quickly waved her hands in explanation. "No, this wasn't bought with the household money. I saved up for it little by little with my allowance. Mom, I just thought you worked too hard every day. I wanted to make you a little happier." The system disdainfully fiddled with the bouquet in its hands, glaring coldly at its mother. "Don't I give you your allowance? I'll be happy when you get perfect scores in all your subjects. Hurry up and return this useless thing, otherwise, don't come back." Mother lowered her head, looking troubled. "But, these are fresh flowers. Fresh flowers are never returnable or exchangeable. Mom, please accept it this time. I really know I was wrong. I'll definitely study hard from now on to make you happy." The system relentlessly grabbed the mother by the collar, and so, the mother was dragged all the way to the flower shop by the system. The owner naturally refused to give a refund. The system, ignoring his mother's struggles, kicked her all the way to the flower shop entrance. Then he reached out and tore her clothes, cursing her with the most vicious words in front of everyone. "Come on, kneel right here. Let's see which man is willing to pay for this bouquet of flowers for you. As long as someone is willing to pay, I'll marry you off for free today. See, no one wants you at all, because you're just a disgusting waste of space. Can you even eat this pile of stuff you bought? If you can, then go ahead and live off flowers from now on." After saying that, the system grabbed the bunch of carnations it had smashed and stuffed them into Mother's mouth, one by one. "I remember a month ago, I was kneeling here in despair just like this. The flowers I had personally selected were also treated this way. That intense bitterness is something I still remember to this day. I still can't understand why I bought a bouquet of flowers for my mother that day. She never showed even the slightest bit of love for me. It wasn't until after I died that I understood. They say a mother's love is selfless, but in this world, it is a child's love for their parents that is the purest and most unconditional. My mother doesn't love me, yet I can't help but hope that she will." This farce finally ended with the florist's compromise. The system successfully obtained the refund, but its punishment of the mother was far from over. From that day on, the system treated Mother as if she were invisible. It stopped speaking to her, stopped making eye contact, and ignored all her needs and emotions. No matter how Mother apologized, admitted her mistakes, or even kowtowed, the system never looked at her again. The most terrifying thing is, under the influence of the system, classmates, teachers at school, and even strangers she encountered treated her mother as if she were invisible. Everyone's disregard pushed her to the brink of madness. Every day, she teetered on the edge of collapse. Fortunately, she later discovered a litter of newborn kittens under the low wall in the school's backyard. The way the kittens gently nuzzled her palm finally gave her a sliver of solace amid her daily breakdowns, so she began scrimping and saving every day, buying goat milk and ham sausages specifically to feed the kittens. She poured out all the pain and grievances in her heart to the kittens. She had clearly taken those kittens as her spiritual support. This day marked the 29th day of my mother experiencing my life. She happily ran to the school backyard, carrying a large bag of ham sausages, little darlings, after tomorrow, I'll receive a reward of 100 million, I'll come pick you up right away when the time comes, I'll give you all the best. But when she parted the grass as usual, what she saw were the unrecognizable corpses of kittens scattered all over the ground. The system beside her said coldly, "No wonder your grades have dropped so much. It's all because of these animals. Now that the beast is dead, get back home and study. I went through so much trouble to get these real exam papers for you. Who do you think you're letting down by not studying?" Her mother felt the world spinning around her, unable to make out what the system was saying, tears streaming down her face. She screamed and rushed up to the rooftop on the 19th floor. Bang! A loud crash echoed as it hit the ground. Yet Mother opened her eyes once more. Mother opened her eyes. She found herself back in my bedroom again. Terrified, she stared at the date on the wall and realized she had still returned to a month earlier. The system reappeared once again, calmly announcing to her, "Because you did not fully experience a month of your daughter's life before her death, our mission must start over again. Now, please adjust your state as soon as possible and get into character. Our mission will restart in 3 minutes. No, I don't want to. You, this system, are a madman. You're nothing but a tormenting lunatic." Mother frantically shook her head, grabbing her own hair, and painfully slammed it against the floor. "What kind of experience a month of life is this? How could this possibly be Lin Yanen's life? I've endured hardship and toil for half my life, my youth, my money. I've given everything to her. How could she possibly live like this? It must be you. It must be you playing tricks. You don't want me to complete the task. You don't want to give me the 1 billion reward. It must be you. You're trying to drive me to my death, so I'll give up on this mission voluntarily. That way, you won't have to hand out the rewards, right? Tell me, where are your management center and control panel? I want to file a complaint against you right now, right this instant." The system's tone remained completely unperturbed. "I never intended for you to give up on the mission. On the contrary, didn't I give you another chance, allowing you to complete the task once more? Also, if you think the experiences I arranged for you weren't realistic enough, I can show you the surveillance footage from your home right now. After all, you installed no less than 10 hidden cameras in your home to monitor your daughter. You could even see if she took an extra sip of water." After saying this, the system gave the mother no chance to argue. It directly projected the footage recorded by the home surveillance cameras right before the mother's eyes. Under the lens, "I can only sleep less than 4 hours each day. When I'm truly, desperately sleepy, I use an awl to jab my own thigh. I often don't get enough to eat, and for every extra piece of meat I take, my mother writes it down in a notebook. Then she tells me this is a debt I owe her, and I must repay it in full once I grow up. I live each day in constant fear, yet I strive with all my might to survive. Even if I meet every single one of my mother's demands, she would still occasionally take up the ruler and beat me harshly while I was asleep or the slightest bit relaxed. I cannot cry, I cannot frown, and I certainly cannot cry out in pain. I can only be grateful. I am grateful that this is my mother's way of pushing me forward." The system spoke candidly. "Ms. Li Wang, as you can see, I have been quite lenient compared to how you appear on camera. You are in a much more comfortable position than your daughter, because after all, I cannot truly become your biological mother, nor can you expect me to be fully satisfied with you. But your daughter will have expectations, so she has been doing her utmost to excel, just to earn even the slightest bit of your maternal love." Mother stared blankly at the scene unfolding on the screen, as if lost in thought. But then again, it seemed like she wasn't thinking of anything at all, because I couldn't hear her inner voice. I don't know how much time passed before Mother suddenly smiled. "How ridiculous. Since when has the world become so harsh toward mothers? Why should I be so selflessly devoted to a child? I can give birth to her, raise her, provide her with an education, and demand that she become accomplished. She must be grateful to me for that. If it weren't for her, my life could have been incredibly brilliant too, but with her here, I have to watch over her every day. All the focus of my life must revolve around her. I want to work, I want to travel, I want to do everything I desire, but because of her, I can't do anything at all. All I did was ask her to study hard and be filial to me in the future. What more could she possibly want? To commit suicide over such a trivial matter? If she wants to die, fine. But she has to pay back every penny I spent on her food and drink all these years, and she has to repay me for my monthly pension from now on. Then she can go die wherever she pleases." Carried away by her emotions, the mother pulled out the notebook she used for keeping accounts. Each and every entry was laid out before the system. My soul also carefully examined the records on display. From childhood to adulthood, every grain of rice I ate, every cent I spent, My mother had meticulously documented it all. What made it even more ironic was, after filling each page, Mother would write a sentence at the bottom: "Once you turn 18, you must repay it 100-fold. Even though I am now a soul, my heart still aches from the words written in that notebook. In truth, I should have realized it long ago. Mother never loved me. I am merely a key my mother wants to use to cross social classes and marry into a wealthy family. This key of mine failed to unlock that door, so in my mother's eyes, I am nothing but a complete failure." The system did not look at the contents recorded in that notebook. It simply spoke in a matter-of-fact, business-like tone. "Ms. Li Wang, do you want a life without children?" Without hesitation, my mother nodded. "Of course, all the suffering in my life is because I gave birth to this child. If I had another chance to choose, would never have given birth to her." The system nodded. "In that case, I can give you another chance. Although you didn't complete the 1-month task last time, you still persisted for 29 days, I can grant you a special reward, allowing you to be reborn back to the time before you gave birth to your daughter. Now, your life can start anew." The system gave her mother no chance to react, directly sending her back 18 years, to the day she confronted the wealthy man with the pregnancy test results. The wealthy man impatiently pushed her, and she immediately tumbled down the stairs. When I woke up again, my stomach was completely empty. Although my mother still cried and made a scene, she no longer had any bargaining chips in her belly. Compared to my previous life, when the wealthy man gave her 20 million in cash plus a small villa as compensation after I was born, this time, the wealthy man simply threw 200,000 at her and sent her away. After the wealthy man left, the entire maternity ward could hear her wailing cries. Just then, a gurney carrying a woman in labor passed by her. Somehow, I ended up inside the pregnant woman on that gurney. A few hours later, I was born too. In this life, my parents are a very ordinary young couple. Dad is a small-time clerk at a law firm. Mom runs her own little bakery. I am their second child, with a 5-year-old older brother who has already grown into a proper little man. Unlike my previous life, when my mother and grandmother clamored to throw me, a girl, into the stinking ditch as soon as I was born, this time, the whole family stood in a neat row outside the delivery room, eagerly awaiting my arrival. When the nurse announced that I was a girl, my father, holding my grandparents' hands, jumped for joy right then and there. Everyone was jostling to get in front of my little cart, introducing themselves to me. Though I couldn't open my eyes, I could clearly feel that everyone was genuinely happy about my arrival. So this is what it feels like to be wrapped in the warmth of family and love. Soon, my parents gave me my new name for this lifetime. My name is Zhang Jinjin. From that moment on, I was no longer Li Nianen, forever indebted to my parents' kindness. Instead, I became Zhang Jinjin, cherished like a pearl, treasured like a jewel, because I carried with me the memories of my past life. So even though I was just a newborn baby, I still couldn't help but maintain the habits from my previous life. I rarely used crying to express my needs. Whether hungry, sleepy, or tired, I always tried my best to endure it quietly. Even when I'm sick, or truly in pain, would only let out a faint, muffled sob. This situation terrified my parents in this life, who thought it might be a sign of autism. They took me to countless hospitals and had me undergo all sorts of tests. The final conclusion was that there is nothing wrong with my body. I also show no signs of autism. I am simply suppressing my own needs, as if afraid of causing trouble for my parents. Upon hearing this diagnosis, my mother couldn't hold back her tears. Dad also frowned with heartache. They carefully cradled me in their palms, kissing me again and again. Mom said, "Silly child, why do you need to be so sensible? I gave birth to you so you could enjoy life. You can cry, you can fuss, and you can be willful." Dad said, "If the sky falls, Dad will hold it up. All I want is for my child to be happy. Cry, my darling, cry if you want to. My child is allowed to cry when they want to, and laugh when they want to." Even my 5-year-old brother comforted me like a little adult. "Jinjin, don't be afraid. Big brother will protect you forever and ever. No matter what trouble you get into, Big brother will take the blame for you. If you like, I'll give you all my toys too." That day, I let out the biggest cry of my life, crying for the grievances of my past life, crying for the fortune of my present one. The sound of that crying was even somewhat piercing, so piercing that passers-by couldn't help but turn their heads. But my family was overjoyed, embracing me with excitement. They kept lifting me high, then squatting down, holding all sorts of toys up to me, until I too giggled with excitement. Under the careful nurturing of this family, I finally realized just how happy children who live in normal families can be. In this home, Mom and Dad never spoke of gratitude aloud. When there's something delicious bought at home, the whole family can happily share. it together, instead of pushing a huge pile in front of me and forcing me to finish it all, and then saying, if it weren't for you, who would buy such expensive things to eat, going to the mall, I can also buy clothes that I like. Girls don't necessarily have to dress in pink and look cute, as long as they like it, any color or style is perfectly fine. In this lifetime, my mother also keeps a small notebook, but it's not to record how much food I've eaten or how much money I've spent. Instead, it's where she notes down the moments of my first rollover, my first words, and my first steps. Every scribble I drew with my clumsy hands was carefully collected by my parents. They framed them and displayed them in the most prominent spots at home. Despite growing up in such a family, I never became rebellious from their doting. On the contrary, I developed an immense interest in learning from a very young age. In my previous life, I died amidst that pile of hopeless practice problems. But that doesn't mean I had no interest in those subjects. It was just that under my mother's high-pressure control in my past life, I was always terrified, afraid that if I didn't do well enough, I might go hungry at any moment or face a beating at any time. In this life, I can finally set aside my burdens and truly focus wholeheartedly on studying. From childhood, my grades have almost never fallen below the top 3 in my class. Every parent-teacher conference would turn into a commendation ceremony for my parents. Whenever the parents of my classmates talk about me, they all say I am the child from another family, obedient and sensible, never needing parents to worry. Whenever such moments arise, my parents always smile and refute, our daughter is lovable because she is herself, not because she's sensible. I know my parents aren't just saying nice things in front of others, because they treat my brother the same way. Unlike me, my brother doesn't excel academically. He only loves playing basketball. He even occasionally skips a self-study class in secret, just to catch a basketball game. But Mom and Dad never scold him for it. They would never say things like playing basketball has no future. On my brother's birthday, they would give him autographed photos of his idol. They would mobilize the whole family to snatch tickets for the basketball games my brother loved. What they said and what they did were always consistent. Being their child, it was truly just to make us happy. In the blink of an eye, 18 years had passed. Once again, I was facing the college entrance examination. To make up for the regrets of my past life, I worked even harder, rising early and retiring late each day, immersing myself in a sea of books and practice questions. Mom temporarily closed her small bakery to take care of me full-time at home. Dad started planning our family graduation trip early on. My brother even generously took out his first paycheck after graduation, saying he wanted to reward me. Having experienced failure across 2 lifetimes, I cherished this chance at the college entrance exam in this life all the more, not for anyone's expectations, but simply to prove myself, to get into my dream university and become the person I've always wanted to be. The 2-day college entrance exam has come to an end. After leaving the exam hall, my parents didn't even ask me a single question about how I did. Instead, he took my brother and me directly onto a plane heading south. I happily began my graduation trip. Not long after we returned from our trip, one early morning, the teacher and the principal excitedly knocked on our door. Holding up my 745-point exam score, I announced that I was the top scorer in the college entrance exam in our province that year. Television stations from all over the country rushed to report on my results. The admissions offices of both Tsinghua University and Peking University came knocking on my door, each trying to outdo the other. The scholarship offers kept climbing, each one higher than the last. I had no doubt in choosing Tsinghua University, which I had always wanted to attend. After officially receiving the scholarship, I suggested upgrading my mom's bakery with a brand new set of equipment. Unexpectedly, my mom flatly refused. She gently stroked my hair and said, "Silly child, I've told you many times, raising you wasn't about waiting for you to repay me, it was so you could experience the life I never had. As long as you're living well, that's all that matters. I can take responsibility for my own life." After saying this, Mom hugged me just like she did when I was a child, patting my back over and over again. With a crack sound, it felt as if a block of ice that had been buried deep in my heart for over a decade had finally shattered. My heart has also completely softened. I originally thought my beautiful life could officially begin, yet I never imagined that one day I would see my mother from my previous life again. Brotherly Wang. At the commendation ceremony the school held for me, I took the stage as the representative of outstanding students to give a speech. Just as I picked up the microphone, a dark figure rushed up and hugged me tightly. "Yanen, Mom has finally found you. Yanen, all these years, Mom has been missing you so much." Hearing that name, my heart skipped a beat. Instinctively, I wanted to run away, but someone hugged me from behind. Brotherly Wang said that she had been having a very hard time these past few years. The 200,000 yuan compensation the wealthy man gave her was snatched away by her parents to buy a house for her brother before it even had a chance to warm up in her hands. She had intended to use the same old trick, hoping to deceive another wealthy man. She planned to give birth to a son and force her way into a higher position. However, everyone had learned from past mistakes, and no one was willing to take her bait anymore. She had no particular skills to speak of and spent her days dreaming of reaping rewards without putting in any effort, so after many years, she still hadn't achieved anything. Her parents couldn't stand it anymore, using the excuse that her sister-in-law was having a baby and there was no room left in the house. They directly kicked her out. Then the whole family moved to a place she couldn't possibly find. From then on, she started looking for me every single day. Brotherly Wang snatched the microphone from my hand, tears streaming down his face as he spoke to me. You only became the top scorer in the college entrance exams today because of my painstaking efforts to nurture you in your past life, so I am your real mother. All your scholarship money should belong to me. Every year's scholarship you receive in university will also be mine, and when you start working, your monthly salary must be handed over to me too, right? You're not allowed to go far away for college. You have to come home every day to serve me. If you're not willing, I'll go with you and live on campus. In any case, you must honor and serve me. I'll cling to you for the rest of my life. I struggled, about to refute Brotherly Wang's words. The next second, my parents and brother rushed forward. My brother grabbed Li Wangxiong by the collar, and my father kicked him in the stomach. My mother shielded me in her arms. She, who had always been gentle, actually pointed at Li Wangxiong's nose and cursed him loudly. You shameless woman. You keep saying Jinjin is your daughter, then let me ask you, do you know what Jinjin's favorite food is? Who is Jinjin's best friend? Do you know what her biggest dream has been since she was a child, whether in your past life or this one? Have you ever loved Jinjin even a little? Did you have children out of love, or just to use her as a tool? Brotherly Wang was pinned to the ground by his father and older brother, but he still refused to back down verbally. What's wrong? If having children isn't for taking care of you in old age and seeing you off when you die, then what is it for? It doesn't matter if you don't need that dead girl to see you off. She must still be filial to me, because she owes me that. Without another word, Mom slapped Li Wangxiong across the face. Listen up, I don't care if what you're saying is true or false. I'm just telling you, Jinjin is the child I carried for 10 months. If you dare hurt her or harass her, I'll fight you to the death. To prevent the conflict from escalating further, the school called the police. Brotherly Wang was detained for 15 days for picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Watching the police car drive away, I cautiously looked at my family beside me. Mom, if I said that in my past life, I really was that person's daughter, would you still want me? Mom's eyes reddened as she hugged me tightly without hesitation. Of course I want you, of course I do, seeing how sensible you've been since childhood. Mom knows you must have had a very unhappy life in your past life. Mom only hates herself, only hates that she didn't find you sooner. My precious, you must remember next time, when you're reborn, you must recognize Mom. Mom cried, and I cried too, but through my tears, I found myself smiling from the heart. After the summer vacation ended, the whole family, carrying my large and small bags of luggage, boarded the high-speed train to Tsinghua University with me. The family chatted and laughed together. An emergency news bulletin was suddenly broadcast on the electronic screen in the waiting hall. The city's wealthiest individual was attacked by an unknown assailant, who has since been successfully neutralized by the police. This station reminds all citizens to stay safe. On the large screen, footage of the attack on the wealthiest individual played repeatedly. Brotherly Wang, his eyes bloodshot, charged toward the wealthiest man with a sharp knife in hand. He kept shouting, "Give me back my child, give me back my child. It's all because of you that my child is gone. I want you to give me back my child." My child was the top scorer in the college entrance exam. How could your 200,000 ever compensate for a top scorer? In the next scene, Brotherly Wang was shot and fell to the ground, his eyes still wide open, as if unwilling to swallow down the intense bitterness of this life. Upon seeing this sudden news, my mother immediately covered my eyes. My father and brother awkwardly tried to change the subject. In truth, I wasn't afraid at all, because I know, in this life, I possess everything I pursued for a lifetime in my previous life but never attained. In this life, I am destined to become the happiest girl in the world. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The rebirth system asked me to choose a language, and I said, English. The system replied, okay. Baby talk. So, when I saw the domineering CEO dad, who is a powerhouse in the industry, boldly claim he would raise his child himself only to be left helpless by his son's crying, I stared at the baby wailing in front of me about a sock thread poking its toe and fell into deep thought. I yanked off the little tycoon's socks, and under the displeased gaze of the tycoon dad, I turned the socks inside out and slipped them onto his son. Hey, no more crying. At that moment, I was like a deity in the tycoon's eyes. Just as I saw my CT 6 score, in an instant, a surge of anxiety and frustration struck me like a thunderbolt, and I fainted, waking up in a daze. A robotic voice chanted all around me, you can choose to instantly master a language. I opened my mouth, sad, numb, and dazed. English, all right, the robotic voice replied. Baby talk. A blinding white light flashed, and everything before me changed. It was no longer a desk piled with books and practice papers, nor a phone displaying a score-checking interface. Instead, it was a vast, spacious room. It looks like a nursery for a little baby, because there's an entire wall of pacifiers, all kinds, displayed on it. Suddenly, an unhappy voice came from behind. I hired you to stand there and daydream. Before he could finish, a piercing cry, like the song of a siren, deafening and shaking the surroundings, echoed endlessly in this vast room. I was already stunned by the crying, let alone the man holding the child. He appeared to be about 185 centimeters tall, with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. Wearing a white shirt, he gently held the child, swaying from side to side, and soothed, don't cry, don't cry. He looked every bit the devoted family man, but at that moment, I didn't have time to be shocked about why I was there, nor did I have time to silently recite that emptiness is form and form is emptiness. This is someone else's husband, don't stare, because I heard the child in his arms, who couldn't have been more than a month old, speak, toes, socks. I was dumbfounded, seeing me still standing there in a daze. The man looked displeased, but he had enough manners not to show it too obviously. Amid the baby's loud cries, he only said, he's hungry, why aren't you going to make the formula? I numbly stepped forward and took off the child's socks. The man frowned. What are you doing? How on earth did you get your certification? He's still young, you can't take off his socks, he'll catch a cold. I turned the little socks inside out and put them back on him. A miraculous scene unfolded. The child, who had been crying non-stop just moments before, stopped fussing. He blinked his eyes, looked at me, and his pout gradually turned upward into a giggle. A hint of astonishment appeared on the man's face. I took off the other sock and turned it inside out to show him. There are tiny threads inside the sock, the same color as the fabric. We can't see them, but the baby's skin is delicate, and if they get caught, it's very uncomfortable. That's why we need to wear them inside out. The man nodded, then said, indeed, the quality of these 30,000 yuan socks isn't good. Next time, let's switch to the 50,000 yuan ones. Are you saying this little piece of fabric costs 30,000? Give me all the socks you don't want, I'll sew them together and wear them as a patchwork garment. This fabric is too rough for socks, but it's just right for making clothes for me. After finally understanding the whole story with the system, before I could even process it, another loud cry rang out. Qin Jiao held the child at a loss. Looking at her husband, Gu Jianma was actually at a loss as well, but by nature he was steady. After taking the child and calmly checking him over, he looked at me. His gaze was helpless. I clearly heard the child murmuring, too quiet, so quiet. Thinking quickly, I immediately started whistling. In reality, it was completely off-key, but I had no choice but to compose a new song on the spot. Little Bao gradually quieted down, giggling as he looked in my direction. Qin Jiao's gaze toward me radiated the tenderness of a new mother, though part of it was also because this body of mine was only 16 years old, quite small according to the system. There weren't many in the village who could afford to go to school. Once they got older, they would go out to work. I had some experience taking care of children from looking after my younger brother when I was little. Passed along by layers of intermediaries, the Gu family had originally hired a high-end nanny who had to take a month off for personal reasons. Somehow, I ended up filling in. Originally, after learning my age, the Gu family didn't want me. They didn't hire child labor, but the intermediary couldn't bear to lose such a big client and praised me to the skies. In the end, I was called in for a private trial. Clearly, I passed the probation period, and the couple were more than satisfied. So, with tears in my eyes, I took on a job paying 150,000 a month, doing the simplest translation work, and serving a little master who was so adorable it could melt your heart. Every day, my work consisted of making him milk when he said he was thirsty, changing his diaper when he said he needed to go, and humming songs for him when he said he was bored. It wasn't hard at all, and it wasn't tiring in the slightest. To outsiders, it looks like I'm by the little master's side every day, and every time he cries, within 5 seconds, I can accurately figure out why he's crying and make him giggle. With laughter, the butler said, "The young master is very particular about the nipple and temperature every time he drinks milk. You have to find the nipple he likes and adjust it to the right temperature before he'll drink." I look at the little baby in front of me, who drinks happily with any nipple as long as it's not too hot or too cold, and listen to him babbling away. Oh, so it's not about being picky with the nipple or the temperature. Every time he cried, they thought he was hungry, but he wasn't actually hungry. They would change his pacifier and adjust the temperature, fussing around until he finally got hungry, and only then would he mercifully open his mouth to drink. He was clearly a very easy-to-raise, good-tempered, well-behaved baby, who was ruining his reputation. That day, the beautiful, kind, and gentle Mrs. Cheen gave me a day off to go out and have fun. With a month's salary of 150,000 renminbi in my pocket, I shopped frantically in the mall, tears streaming down my face. Tears of happiness. If learning baby talk could let me live like this forever, I would be willing to learn it until the day I die. But my joy didn't last long. Something even more delightful came along. Qin Jiao called, apologetically telling me that the baby had been crying non-stop and nothing seemed to soothe him, asking if I could come back and take a look. Her voice was flustered, tinged with a hint of shyness. I immediately went back. Gu Xiaobao was quite cooperative. The moment he saw me, he stopped crying. Then, with a pitiful look, he said, "Want, hug, I'm dying of cuteness, I'm dying of cuteness, I'm dying of cuteness, I'm dying of cuteness." The cutest in the world, the cutest in the universe. But I keenly sensed a trace of loneliness mixed in with Miss Cheen's relief. Having read foreign romance novels for over a decade, I immediately thought of outshining the master. After caring for the crown prince for 10 years, the emperor said I was his weakness and ordered my execution, and I was reborn. Returning to the first year I took care of the crown prince, I jolted awake and immediately said to little treasure, "Sweetie, did you have a scary dream? Just hug mommy and you'll feel better." I nestled the child into Miss Cheen's embrace. Gu Xiaobao was much easier to deal with than his father, who looked the part of a gentleman but was actually a master of pretense. He giggled happily at the sight of Miss Cheen. "Madam, if you hold him more often, he'll grow closer to you," I said. "Thank you," she smiled, knowing what I had discovered, with a glimmer of tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, it's just that I'm usually too busy with work." "Ah, Miss Cheen is so beautiful even when she cries. She's this stunning." "Mr. Gu, come over here. How can you possibly have both the beautiful, gentle, and understanding Miss Cheen and the fair, adorable, well-behaved, big-eyed, chubby-cheeked baby who giggles at the slightest poke? Look me in the eyes, tell me why." Although I feel a bit guilty for taking the job from the previous nanny, the competition for the position has always been like this. It's survival of the fittest. Either you lose your job or I lose mine. Through my relentless efforts, Gu Xiaobao has grown much closer to his mother, always reaching out for her to hold him whenever he sees her. Mr. Gu is not within the scope of my efforts. In my view, this person seems a bit pretentious. So let him keep up the act, because he carries an air of condescension. Perhaps my eyes are failing me, or maybe he is simply too busy to mend the father-son relationship. But what does that have to do with me? I'm not going to be the bad guy stirring up trouble between father and son. I just won't help when Mr. Gu comes around. My reputation truly took off at a private gathering of wealthy ladies, because I'm genuinely cute, beautiful, likable, and quirky. Miss Cheen really likes me. And little Bao Gu does too, so Miss Cheen treats me like a half-sister. As long as it's not a work-related or formal occasion, she takes me along wherever she can. This circle of affluent ladies consists of new mothers who have just given birth, who rarely have time to relax without work each day, and their discussions revolve entirely around parenting issues. "Oh, Miss Zhao, don't you hire a nanny for your child?" one of the ladies asked. I was playing with Gu Xiaobao, who could barely sit up but still wobbled from side to side, as well as another well-behaved baby from who knows which family who could already crawl. Hearing this, I glanced at that Miss Zhao. She was dressed elegantly and appeared to have a gentle temperament, much like Miss Cheen. "Oh, Nana won't let anyone else hold her, she just won't let go." "You're just too soft-hearted, being this clingy isn't good, it's holding back your career, one of the ladies remarked, though she didn't intervene. Finding a good nanny these days is tough. Do you know why Mrs. Zhang isn't coming? The nanny she hired is an older one, supposedly a senior nanny, but she was watching the child at home. And with such a big bed, the child fell off without her noticing. The poor thing twisted its hand and cried for ages without anyone noticing. They tried to hide it and didn't dare say anything until it swelled up so badly they had to call a private doctor. Now they're in the middle of a lawsuit. Young ones aren't any better either. My aunt hired a nanny who seemed honest and sweet-talking at first. She seemed to know her way around children and was young and energetic, but in the end, she got involved with my aunt's husband. After she was kicked out, it turned out she was pregnant and secretly gave birth, and it was a son, no less. Now my aunt's daughter isn't even favored by her grandmother anymore, and they're making a huge fuss about it, talking about divorce. That woman is utterly shameless. I saw her once when I went to visit my niece. She does look delicate and pitiful, but who would have known she's a habitual bed climber? So you see, it's really hard to find a good childcare worker. The older ones don't have the energy, and the younger ones just can't be trusted. The lady spoke, her gaze drifting meaningfully in my direction. Why don't you just say it outright? I'm not well educated, so I don't understand your veiled sarcasm. Though gentle, Miss Chin was no pushover. She immediately responded, let's not paint everyone with the same brush. Just because someone is attractive doesn't mean they do such things, and you can't blame the girl entirely. These things take two willing parties. If the man were truly decent, he'd call the police on any woman who undressed in front of him. She didn't mince her words, and the lady said awkwardly, I was just speaking from the heart. Wah wah wah. Just as they were talking, the child in Miss Zhao's arms suddenly burst into loud cries. Only then did the ladies realize that during previous gatherings, the sound of children crying had been like background music. So why was it so quiet today? I turned my head and realized that from those who could only sit to those who could crawl and walk, every single one of them was gathered around me, babbling and giggling with me. Hey, the nanny at Miss Chin's place is really something. No wonder you take her everywhere you go with Tang Tang. These kids love playing with her so much. Tang Tang is Gu Xiaobao's nickname, and his formal name is Gu Mingtang. Absolutely. My little girl is particularly stubborn and spoiled. If things don't go her way, she throws a tantrum, and 3 nannies at home couldn't handle her. But now, playing with that nanny, she's so quiet. It's really something. I held one child in my arms, had another clinging to my back, and 2 more were hugging my legs, wrapped in the milky scent and soft, plump flesh. On the left is a fair, tender little face, on the right is a face with long lashes and big, round eyes, and by my leg is a chubby, soft little bottom trying its best to snuggle closer to me. Is this heaven? The genes of the domineering CEO and the noble ladies naturally speak for themselves. Each child they produce is absolutely adorable. Adorable little creatures. Cute creatures should rule the world. Hearing the adorable little one in Miss Zhao's arms fussing to play with something, Miss Zhao was busy both feeding and changing diapers. Holding my Gu Xiaobao, I had Xiaobao share his toy with this little brother, generously, from my arms. Gu Xiaobao leaned down, extended his chubby little paw, and handed the singing toy rabbit worth 50,000 to the baby. The little one took the toy and stopped crying or fussing. He giggled happily at the 2 of us. In Miss Zhao's eyes, I am like a living bodhisattva, a modern-day Huatua, just a bit bored, not hungry and doesn't need a diaper change, I said with a smile, not taking any credit. Madam, your little one isn't shy at all. What a wonderful child. Mothers always love it when others praise their children, and the CEO's wife was no exception. She immediately beamed from ear to ear. Hey, girl, how do you get these babies to be so well-behaved in your hands? Any tips you can share? I looked at Miss Chin, who nodded with a smile. I'm curious too. With one arm wrapped around Gu Xiaobao, I let Miss Zhao's child play with my other hand. There's no special trick, really. Maybe I'm just naturally likable to kids. I chuckled, making up an excuse. Children are the most genuine. If you're good to them and spend time with them, they'll naturally like you. That much was true. Oh dear, then I really have no choice. A flustered noblewoman fretted for a moment before coming up with a new idea. Xiao, how about lending me your girl for a few days? I'll pay her the same wages. My child has never been this well-behaved before. Miss Chin hesitated with a soft, Seeing this, I smiled and said, you flatter me, madam. I've monopolized the childcare work at Sister Chin's house. Tang Tang can't do without me now. Just as I spoke, Tang Tang suddenly hugged my face and gave me a kiss. Don't go, I heard him plead pitifully. I don't want to have to eat when I'm not hungry every day, or force myself to go when I don't need to. I'm speechless. Young master, your choice of words is a bit crude. Don't say I taught you that. Ah, what a shame. Under my management as the head of this little treasure, everything is in perfect order. Not a single child here cries for more than 10 seconds. None of the ladies have ever had it this easy. They all want to poach me away. A good nanny is a treasure not to be shared, so is a good parenting specialist. By the time the gathering was about to end, my pants were surrounded by little hands. The wealthy ladies tried to take their children away, but each one they picked up burst into tears, wailing so heart-wrenchingly, so earth-shatteringly, so movingly that it left everyone utterly helpless. I've got an idea. I had no choice but to hold them one by one in my arms, comforting them. Good babies, I'll play with you tomorrow. Okay, don't cry, don't cry. They stopped crying. Good yaya, big sister will come see you tomorrow. Okay, stop crying now, go home with mommy. Another one soothed. Little Goo Goo, don't cry anymore, be good, you'll meet your sister tomorrow. One more smile. After comforting everyone in this way, the scene finally quieted down. My hands were overwhelmed, too sore to lift. After returning, Miss Chin didn't say much, just told me to rest well. As for Sui Cheng, at 6 o'clock, before Gu Xiaobao could cry out, it was Miss Chin's phone that rang first. She came to the nursery in her pajamas, holding her phone, and woke me up. Little sister, the child at Sister Zhang's house is crying and asking for you. No one else can comfort them. I rubbed my sleepy eyes, thinking to myself, how did I end up with an assignment like this? In the video, the only child at Ms. Zhang's house who could speak yesterday was crying uncontrollably, repeating, I want sister, I want sister. Do I have such deep feelings for him? Can't manage without me now, huh? I had just finished getting ready to go to Miss Zhang's house when Miss Chin's phone rang again. Another family called, asking me to go see the child. I stood numbly at the door, watching Miss Chin answer several phone calls before she finally spread her hands helplessly. You don't need to go out anymore. They're bringing the child here. It's quite miraculous. But not long after seeing me, the child stopped crying, as if I had poisoned them, and I am the living antidote. Heaven and earth bear witness. When Mr. Gu got up, he was stunned for a long time by the magnificent scene in the living room. Miss Chin pulled him aside and explained it again, and only then did he glance at me with a look of vague understanding, as if I were some sort of human-shaped cat treat. I lay numbly on the sofa, drowsy and surrounded by children crawling all over me. In the evening, the wealthy ladies each transferred a sum of money to me. Catching a meaningful glance from Miss Chin, I didn't dare accept it, simply saying that I enjoyed playing with the children and that it wouldn't make sense for me to take money for something I enjoyed doing. It was the same routine as yesterday, sending the child off. Miss Chin looked at my body, drained as if all my vitality had been sucked out, and couldn't bear it. She gave me a day off and promised she absolutely wouldn't call me back today. I returned to my rented room with a mix of belief and doubt, since I only worked for half a year, with 2 days off per month and one of those days being suddenly called back because the child cried. My rental apartment is cleaner than anything else, like a showroom, just used for sleeping. It's only been a little over 10 days. The day was calm and uneventful, and I slept like a log. Upon returning to the Gu residence, I found the living room had once again become a raucous party for the babies. Their cries rose and fell in waves, driving me to the brink of despair. System, get out here. Under the roar of the fierce wife, the system scurried out and explained to me that due to a numerical analysis error, all my talent points had been allocated to attracting children. This made me to babies what catnip is to cats, bamboo to pandas, and bones to dogs. So, any child I've ever seen would be drawn to me until they develop awareness. What kind of nonsense is this? Shocking. The baby whisperer is at it again, calming children, starting with max-level baby talk. I've got countless tycoons wrapped around my finger. Are these powerful tycoon capitalists going to send me to a research institute to be dissected and studied, so they can extract a miracle drug, a potion that controls babies, then mass-produce it and become insanely rich? I sat in the community center, thinking helplessly. This community was built within a month. Even the formaldehyde inside has been cleared out. The money was crowdfunded by the domineering CEOs, specifically for me, to take care of the children under the guise of an early education class. And just like that, I started running an early education class within the circle of domineering CEOs. The soft carpet covers every inch of the floor, making me feel like if I fell, I'd bounce right back up. To ensure I could fully focus on taking care of the children, all my daily needs were meticulously attended to. I looked after the kids, and someone else looked after me. I didn't have to worry about any of the children's expenses, I just had to inform the designated person, and everything would be purchased. On top of that, each family paid me an extra 100,000 yuan per month. Tearfully, I earned over 1 million yuan each month, rich, but unable to go out and enjoy it. But the kids need to go out and play. Their wealthy parents go out like they're on a team-building trip, renting an entire island. I reminded each child to stay quiet and well-behaved for 2 days. Then still tearfully tagged along on the private jet, private island, and private hotel, just eating, drinking, and playing like this. Every single one of them is about to start school. Although they're not as clingy now, the domineering CEOs find it troublesome and have hired private tutors in every subject to come to their homes. They've essentially turned the community into their own kindergarten. They had their own connections and relationships to make me the kindergarten principal. During this time, many domineering CEOs heard about my reputation and sent their children here to be disciplined, which brought considerable benefits to the Gu family. I became a lucky cat. Life was tedious yet easygoing, and when they started elementary school, they all left this place. I watch over the kindergarten, occasionally welcoming new children and bidding farewell to the older ones. Fortunately, they haven't forgotten me, often bringing their awards and homework to join the early education class for study. This gradually turned into an after-school care program, with tutors coming to provide guidance. The parents were more than happy to have some leisure time. Then they grew up and became wiser. The most notable one is Gu Mingtang, who has been with me the longest. This kid was sweet and adorable when he was little, but the older he gets, the more he resembles his father, serious and mature, acting like an adult since childhood. He has already forgotten the past, forgotten how he used to tug at my clothes and beg, "Sister, don't go." It seems he really does think of me as his sister. Nonsense, I'm of the same generation as his mother. So, with Qin Jiao's mediation, he successfully started calling me auntie. I've been with the Gu family for 7 or 8 years now, always treating this place as my own home. No matter how lively the early education classes, kindergarten, or after-school programs got, my priority was always Gu Xiaobao. Over the years, I've grown to tolerate, and even appreciate, Mr. Gu, that insufferable, domineering CEO. Perhaps it's because his wife truly treats me like a younger sister. Occasionally during the holidays, when he brings gifts for his wife and child, he even includes one for me. I am truly grateful to him. These children have all been taught well by me, each one understanding gratitude and knowing propriety. Throughout the year, from Spring Festival and Women's Day to my birthday, Teacher's Day, and various other niche days, they always come to me with gifts, either handmade or bought. I am only 24. Sitting on a 9-figure fortune, with the heirs of various prominent families in the capital behind me. The biggest daily worry is what to eat for lunch, what to eat for dinner, and what to eat for a midnight snack. I just idled away like a salted fish until I turned 28, and Gu Mingtang started middle school. This child inherited his mother's gentleness and his father's talkative nature. Thus, he became a worrywart like an old mother hen. This worry isn't for anyone else, it's just for me. Auntie, you shouldn't just lie around at home like this. Go find a husband. I tapped his forehead. Since when do you get to boss me around? Gu Mingtang covered his head, his gaze still firm, still earnest. Dad says a life without goals is like sailing without a direction. I interrupted him without changing my expression. My goal is to get rich. He frowned. But you don't go to work every day. How can you get rich? Me, isn't my daily interest higher than my salary from work? He shook his head, as if trying to shake my twisted logic out of his mind. You've led me astray again. It's not about making you work for money. Just find a goal for yourself, otherwise you'll become too idle. Gu Mingtang said with a serious expression. You should go find a husband. The teacher said that once a person has a partner, they won't feel so bored. Me, are you that eager for me to get married? Gu Mingtang immediately shook his head. No, auntie, at the very least, you should take in a son-in-law, who would even be qualified to marry you. I did the math for him. Do you know how much it costs to bring a man into the family these days? Even the daughter of a provincial governor's family has to prepare 20 million to marry a man, because what a woman loses is just 20 million, but what a man loses is his pride. Gu Mingtang was stunned and quickly calculated his own savings. What kind of man is worth that much? A man who is 170 centimeters tall and weighs 160 kilograms. I sighed. Gu Mingtang pondered thoughtfully. If Dad had no money, would He also not have been able to marry mom. I spread my hands, because your mom loves your dad, she didn't ask for so much money. He nodded, so dad has to treat mom really, really well, so you should be good to your future wife, or else no girl will be willing to have your. My mouth was covered by Gu Mingtang, his serious little face slightly flushed. Auntie, I'm just a child. I looked at him and smiled, but now I know. On his 18th birthday, Gu Mingtang specifically invited me. I witnessed his growth from a child who had to pick his pacifier to the man he is today, capable of holding up half the sky. He has a gentle demeanor, never pushing people away with an icy distance, because I said that cold, aloof people are hard to get along with and not conducive to making friends, yet he speaks only in half measures, reserved and sparing with words. Because I said that too much talk invites trouble and is not beneficial for the future, having read over a decade of domineering CEO novels, I applied every bit of knowledge I learned from them to him, and in the end, I truly raised a domineering CEO. He began to get involved in the company's affairs, and some of the partners were children who had once attended my early education classes. They occasionally came to see me. After all, the bond didn't need to be as deep as Gu Mingtang's. They would ask me what I needed and then send someone to deliver it. When I was 35, I started a flower shop out of boredom. I paid for the shop myself, but Gu Mingtang helped me with everything from location scouting to sourcing supplies. Whenever the children's families needed flowers for any occasion, they would come to me, and they even introduced people to help me attract customers. The day before, a competitor came to cause trouble, and the next day, that competitor's shop and the people in it were completely replaced. When it comes to the partnerships I want, even if the first attempt fails, the second one is guaranteed to succeed. Everyone on the commercial street says the owner of that flower shop has incredibly good business luck, only I know it's because I've raised enough children, and every single one of them has turned out successful. Every child I've brought up has turned out well, not a single spoiled brat among them. The one with the worst habit secretly kept a few young actors, hiding the news from me completely. It was Gu Mingtang who spilled the beans with a straight face. A girl who liked Xiao Chen came to my shop to buy flowers. For some reason, she wasn't satisfied and ended up knocking over a flower stand. Having taught dozens of children myself, I have plenty of patience and a good temper. Miss, this flower stand with the pot and seedlings will cost nearly 50,000. I kindly reminded her. The woman glared at me fiercely. Dare to make me pay. Do you know who owns this street? I nodded. The Chen families. This branch store was opened here only after young Master Chen repeatedly urged me to do so. I am Mr. Chen's girlfriend. With just one word, I can shut down your shop. I shrugged and waited for her to finish her tantrum before following her out. The next day, she was personally escorted over by Xiao Chen. Apologized to my aunt. Xiao Chen said coldly to her, Hey, Xiao Chen, haven't I taught you before? Don't be so rough with girls. I stepped forward with a smile, still not looking at the woman on the ground, but simply straightening his slightly messy tie. You look a bit haggard, tired from work. Don't worry about me. The woman looked up in alarm, seemingly because of the way we addressed each other. No matter if it's Manager Chen, Manager Gu, Manager Fu, or Manager Shen, in front of me, they're all just Little Chen, Little Gu, Little Fu, and Little Shen. After mastering baby talk, I became the little aunt of the tycoons. After the woman was driven out by Little Chen, the two of us faced each other, and Little Chen suddenly sighed. I'm really sorry, Auntie, I didn't know she would come and cause trouble here. I smiled and patted his back. This isn't your fault. You've always been the type to silently shoulder blame since you were little. While I appeared not to blame him, I was actually reminding Xiao Chen that I was the one who brought him up. When he was falsely accused, I was the one who stepped in to uphold justice. Only someone like me, who moves among all the families yet doesn't fully belong to any, could truly mediate fairly. Whenever two families need reconciliation or peace, it still has to go through me, even though I have no official status or position. But no one should dare to mess with me. Any slight offense, and the remaining 80 or so heirs would seize the opportunity to take a bite out of them. My flower shop was harmless enough. With so many children to support, I sponsored a bit, and top-tier brands and companies lined up to collaborate with me. In less than 2 years, it reached heights an ordinary flower shop could never dream of. So, at over 40 years old, I finally stopped slacking off and began navigating the world of fame and fortune. At a high-end banquet, I was invited, knowing full well I was just there to make up the numbers, so I quietly enjoyed my dessert in a corner. Now that I am older, my looks have not faded. After all, I have no worries to trouble me. Nor do I need to compete with a group of young ladies for attention. Instead, I attracted the attention of some of the younger generation of society ladies. Many people know that my company rode the wave of opportunity, inexplicably favored and selected by various parties to achieve its current success, but few are aware of my relationship with the children. These high society ladies are nothing but my husband's hired thugs. Not a single one of them speaks to me with any real courtesy. It was the children who managed to save my face in the end. Little Yaya is as capable as any man, holding her own effortlessly among a crowd of grown men. Seeing me surrounded by a group of women, she immediately came over with a glass in hand. "Auntie, I finally found you." She affectionately leaned in and linked her arm with mine. Little Yaya has been the fiercest contender for attention since she was a child. She has plenty of strength and tricks up her sleeve. "What are you all crowding around my aunt for?" Eager to offer her collaborations, she said with a smile. "Mrs. Jiang, didn't your family just finish building that villa in the east of the city? You'll need plants and flowers, right?" I came empty-handed, filled my stomach with desserts, and left with a big contract in hand. "Actually, I misspoke. I'm still a salted fish, just one that my kids keep flipping over with all their might. In the end, I can't possibly come out at a loss." At that time, the child from the Zhang family was the oldest among all the children I had raised, already at the age where he needed to choose a wife. The family had selected a fiancée for him, and he brought her over for me to meet. "This is my aunt," he said to his fiancée. She was a bright and cheerful woman, who immediately asked with curiosity, "Aunt, the one who raised me when I was little?" Along with little Shen, little Gu, and little Fu, we were all very attached to her back then. The woman almost instantly recalled the rumors about me, and her attitude immediately grew much more respectful. "Auntie, hello." If this were in ancient times, I would have been the wet nurse for the eldest legitimate sons of 60% of the imperial relatives and nobles in the capital, as well as officials of the 4th rank and above. Though I couldn't be granted the title of first-rank lady, I had the backing of nearly half the capital's nobility. Later, the children brought their fiancés and fiancées to show me one by one. I memorized about 100 children and their partners, though there was some overlap. The most desperate thing was that the first couple to have a child excitedly invited me to see them. At that very glance, their child became attached to me. I'm speechless. Call me the ancient Greek god in charge of children. Since others were worried, I simply put my company aside. After all, I didn't need to negotiate contracts, and started taking care of the children's children. Who knew that nannies could be hereditary? As expected, I would once again open an early education class for the new generation of domineering CEOs, and then, I would be clung to by this new generation of children until they reached adulthood. Knowing that I was brought here by the system, I dared not develop too many emotional attachments in this world, so I remained unmarried and childless for my entire life. In their eyes, I had toiled for them all my life, without even having children of my own. Thus, when I died, the funeral procession was massive, with luxury cars swarming the streets, second only to those of the old-school family patriarchs. In the paparazzi footage, faces crowd together, all familiar from financial news. This CEO, that chairman, a whole group of them. I am the bond between them, bringing the heirs of these families together from childhood. As they grew up, they formed a circle of connections. So many of the current generation of leaders know each other well, and no one dares to play dirty tricks, because in my youth, I firmly believed that domineering CEOs must be well-rounded in virtue, intellect, physique, aesthetics, and labor. Otherwise, no heroine would fall for them, so I managed them strictly. Perhaps they still carry some shadows from that into adulthood. The system gathered my soul and asked me to rate him. He needs his KPI. He did not grant me the gift of English as I had wished, but instead, gently and steadily, guided me into a life among the purest, most sincere, and most grateful souls. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.